Now, who's speaking next? Well, it's Shelly Elsliger, online branding coach based in Toronto. She's going to be speaking about how to build your personal brand online on LinkedIn. Now, Shelly is an engaging leadership development facilitator, career specialist, LinkedIn trainer, certified coach, and president and founder of Linked Express. She coaches executives, leaders, diverse students, and job seekers, as well as teams, inspiring them to maximize their personal and professional branding potential, as well as their social influence on and offline. Shelly is a member of the International Coach Federation, was recognized as a woman you need to know in 2015 by the National Women Speakers Association, and in 2016 was awarded the Global LinkedIn Ambassador Award by Richard DePilla's Association. She's a speaker for LinkedIn Canada and just recently made it to the global list of LinkedIn training experts. Yeah! Wow, amazing. Okay. Shelly's diverse experience as a professional LinkedIn trainer and coach allows her to bring a unique breadth of knowledge, as well as an aspect of fun and passion to all her workshops. Please join me in welcoming Shelly to the stage.
Things off in a little bit of a different tangent, and I'm going to talk about having presence online. We've already talked about a lot of, having presence offline, but I'm going to talk about having presence online. So just a little bit, I'm going to make it a little bit more interactive, and I just want to know how many of you are on LinkedIn? How many of you believe in the power of LinkedIn? How many of you need to believe in the power of LinkedIn? Everybody raised their hand. Okay, so LinkedIn just had, just crossed over the 500 million number mark. A lot of people are on LinkedIn, and it's something that we have no choice to be on. It's no longer enough having presence offline. We have to have presence online. So what I'm going to do tonight is talk to you a little bit about my story, and then from there I'm going to give you some hints and tips about having presence and how you can help improve your LinkedIn profile. So when I was 6 years old, as you can see it doesn't fit me now, but when I was 6 years old, my neighbor gave me this Wonder Woman cape and said, "Shelly, show your superpowers." But at the time, I took the cape and I put it into my tickle trunk and never really looked at it again, and I didn't wear it. I put it in my tickle trunk and I said, that's too far out there. I don't have superpowers. So I put it away and didn't look at it again until about 2010. And then 2010, something said, go back into that tickle trunk and take everything out and see what you see. Because I hadn't opened it for many years. And what did I come across but my, Wonder Woman, Superwoman cape. And then I said, yeah, I have superpowers. And in fact, what LinkedIn has done for me is I have a little bit of a different story, but actually, my online voice gave me my offline voice. So in 2010, I became a certified coach. I also became a LinkedIn trainer, and I started to not only just train people online about their profiles, but I started to tell people that you are caught in a dangerous world believing that LinkedIn is just about finding a job. Because many people I talk to say, it's all about, I can only be on LinkedIn if I'm looking for a job or if I'm transitioning into another job. Because people have to find me and I have to find other people. And I said, really? Is that all you think that LinkedIn is? No. LinkedIn, when actually it was built, was actually to be something to empower you, a confidence builder, a way to build your people pod, a way to network, because it is a networking site for professionals. a way to showcase your superpowers, a way for you to show your story and tell your story. It's all about storytelling. So if you think that cutting and pasting your resume and putting it on LinkedIn is the way to go, it isn't. This is a site that represents you when you can't be there. Tonight we're here and you have the opportunity to meet some wonderful people. But if you choose to be a wall hugger, you won't. If you choose to actually get out there, meet people, introduce yourself, network, talk to them about them and about you, relationships will be built. And that's what really LinkedIn is about. It's about building relationships. So when I was younger, I didn't really have a voice. I wasn't a confident speaker. In fact, I wouldn't say I was an introvert, but I was kind of shy. Well, maybe not shy. I don't know how to explain it, but really not confident about speaking. In fact, if you know the story about, does anybody know that story about having the baby elephant mindset? Okay, let me tell you. So if you take a baby elephant and you secure the baby elephant to a 3-foot rope and you tie the rope and day after day you make the baby stay there and the baby doesn't have that much power as a baby, after a while, advance a few years, even if that baby turns into a really strong adult elephant, it will stay in that position because of its beliefs. The belief is that it cannot move anywhere. It cannot go anywhere. So even though it's a great big elephant, it will stay where it is because of its limiting beliefs. A lot of us have those limiting beliefs. And so when it comes to when it comes to social media, people live in fear. They fear change, and it's not the normal way that we do things. Many of us like to be in our so-called comfort zones, but when it really comes down to it, if I ask people, do you want to change? Do you want to change your career? Do you want to build your networks? Do you want to do something different? All of them will come back and most of the time say yes. So if we were desiring change, that means that our comfort zones were not that comfortable after all. Comfort zones is just something we get used to. But if we want to grow, we have to get outside of our comfort zones. And we have to realize that we're not in a baby elephant mindset, that we have the power to change anything. And in fact, when we do, it can bring along many, many great gifts. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things you have to change if you want to have a presence on LinkedIn. Because there are many people on LinkedIn, but the fact of the matter is that they're not LinkedIn. They're on it, but they are not LinkedIn. And I deal with that on an ongoing basis. So some of the things that I've noticed is that, number one, people live in fear. And so first of all, we have to face the fear and do it anyway. Is it a different way of networking? Absolutely. Is it an easy way to network? No, it takes work. It takes presence, it takes time. How many people are on LinkedIn daily? Some in my people pod, yes, because I harass you, but for the most part. I walk on fire yearly, but I'm on LinkedIn daily. We have to get into the idea that it's part of the way that we work. It's not a resume. Many of us, we have to believe that it's bigger than actually what it is. Many of the sites are social, but LinkedIn is professional. Plus social means that you need presence. Second thing, many of us suffer from imposter syndrome. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but we kind of negate or we have limiting beliefs of what we can do, and we always think that somebody has something better to offer. So what happens is we get on LinkedIn and we think, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough, maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe it's not me that is the one that should be showcasing my goods and my services. Nobody is perfect. We all face imposter syndrome at some time, but we have to fight it. We have to fight it and say that if we have an expertise, whether it's men's clothing, whether it's manners, whether it's speaking, what is it that we have? Just like I'm not perfect on LinkedIn, because it changes every single day pretty much. But I know enough about it that I can pay it forward and change somebody's life because of it. We can all do that with what we have, with what we've built. The third thing is that whole saying of only reach out to people that you know. Ignore it. If you only stay with your people pod that you'll know, you'll never grow. I challenge myself every single day to reach out to 2 people that I don't know, but that could be beneficial to my network. And along those lines, customize everything. Do you want to be known as a default? We often are. We use the lazy route to LinkedIn, and then we say, oh, but it doesn't work for us. But yet we just use whatever LinkedIn offers us and never go beyond that. We have to learn to customize every single thing that we do. What about recommendations and testimonials? Do you have any? Because in reality, it's no longer about who you know, but what others know about you. And how are you showcasing that? For every 200 LinkedIn connections, it's great to have one recommendation or testimonial because they're public and they matter. So reach out to some people when you leave here tonight. Think about who you can reach out to. The other thing about LinkedIn is that we have to realize that if we don't set goals for ourselves, I know the first speaker was talking about your why. You should have a why on LinkedIn. Why are you there? What goals do you have to accomplish? And how are you going to accomplish them? Whether it's to build your network, find a job, transfer into a career, get recognized for what you want to do, get recognized for a specialty that you have. Nobody is going to come to you, so how do you get recognized? You have to be on there. Many people think, if I build a profile, I'm good. If you build a profile and you leave it just as is and you never get on daily to help people in your people pod, in your network, you'll never get noticed because LinkedIn works with an algorithm. Build your profile. Let me just talk a little bit about that. So LinkedIn works with an algorithm. There are 4 parts of the algorithm that you have to build in order to be found. Number 1, your headline. Are you using it as a title? Nobody searches a title. What is your value proposition? What goods do you have? What problems do you solve? That's your headline. That's your branding statement that's going to follow you everywhere. What kind of visuals are you using? I've seen everything from dogs to monsters to sunflowers. And I try to figure them out. And then I just give up. And I say, please tell me the meaning of the sunflower. You have your business and it's not a florist. Please tell me. And then we figure out that they just like sunflowers. It's a feel-good thing, good karma. I'm all into that. Your background photo is your branding photo. It's your, what tagline do you have? What do you do? What is your specialty? What can I see? Because as human beings, we're connected to visuals. We want to see what you're connected to. So think about how that's positioning you, and especially if you have your own business, or if you're a speaker, or if there's something that you want to market. Because LinkedIn is about relationship building. It's not about selling. One way for sure that you're going to have a bad experience on LinkedIn is if you start selling every time you're on there. It's about relationship building, because that's what networking is. So after the headline, it's the summary. Most people don't decide not to write it. Your summary is your story. It's what brings LinkedIn to life. Many people just cut and paste their resume. Well, they'll ask you for a resume. It was never meant to be a resume. What is your story? First 3 lines, impact. Tell me something unique. Tell me something that's intriguing. Tell me something that you do that nobody else can do. Tell me what problems you solve. The 3 first lines follow you everywhere. And what's in the body? What are your superpowers? And after your superpowers, how did you get those superpowers? What does it support? And at the end, what is your call to action? What are you going to offer me? What do you want me to do after everything is said and done? Your experience section. Tell me your achievements. Put them up front. Do a summary, not a point form, but tell me what you are. What kind of leader are you in this organization? What are you doing to showcase who you are? That's not point form. I don't want to know about your responsibilities. I don't want to know about actually your day-to-day job. I want to know the kind of person that you are in that type of position. And then the last things are your skills. You need 99 for 1 skill to be an expert. So you got to get working. Not easy to get endorsements, but you got to have what I call an endorsement party. I love parties for everything. I have LinkedIn parties all the time. Get together with people, start the ball rolling, because the more people that endorse you, and the more, but remember, we are all human. So give to get, and always think of the other people and be kind to your network. I think the majority of people on LinkedIn are good people, but they forget that whole idea of being kind to your network and building a really, really strong people pod. I have a people pod offline and I have a people pod online. And some of them are in the audience right now. Why? Because I can depend on them to share my stuff, to help me out. And the more that other people share, just like I did with the event tonight, the more that opens it up that I can become somebody that can help build and foster new relationships. And then it's up to you to nurture them. We should not be afraid of the unknown. Many people think of LinkedIn, I'd like to run away and just keep things as is. But we have no choice in this digital age to not only be on LinkedIn, but to be LinkedIn. So don't run away from it. Think of the unknown as something that you want to gravitate to. Because if we do not have the power to engage, to motivate, to change people, to lead on and offline, we will never be able to make a difference in the next generation that are after us. And I think it's up to all of us to do what we can, both off and online, to be leaders and to be effective leaders. LinkedIn is not your average social media site. It's a professional site, and if you don't tell your own story, somebody else will. So enjoy it. Gravitate. It is such an amazing and comprehensive tool, and I'm so grateful that I have gotten so many of the gifts that I've received. And just before I move on to the next pass it over and pay it forward to the next person, tonight before you leave, make sure that you're connecting with at least 3 or 4 people tonight, and then taking that relationship online. I never, ever, ever pass up an opportunity to build, to take offline relationships and then take them online and nurture them. So don't, take that opportunity tonight, and take every opportunity. And happy LinkedIn building.
Yes. Are there any questions? Shelly? Steve Cooper, question.
What's a great source for what you talked about tonight, or any one source or any place you recommend to go to learn some of those quick tips?
For a source?
Yeah, source. Here, speak. Yeah.
For a source for LinkedIn?
Yeah, source for what you just said, like there's one place to find all the best practices.
Me. I'm the source for all of those tips. We'll connect on LinkedIn tonight. You have to connect with 3, at least.
Okay. Go ahead, Matt.
What's the current protocol for people who contact you and you have no idea who they are, and vice versa? You want to contact someone and they have no idea who you are. At one point that was frowned upon. You had to be connected. You had to have a way in. Change. What is it now? It seems to be changing a lot.
Oh yeah. We all become amazing editors and amazing writers on LinkedIn. The thing is that it was never really meant just to be who you know. It should be who you know and people you should know. So I think the whole idea is that now LinkedIn has actually, even on the mobile app, you can send a message. And we should be crafting our message. First of all, when I get a connection that I'm not sure of, first of all, I look to see how many people do we have in common. Because if they have 20 people in common, then I probably would trust that person because I trust my network. I also look at their profile. I'm not a great big believer in somebody without a picture. I'm not a great big believer with somebody with less than 50 connections, because if you have less than 50 connections, you're in LinkedIn la la land. So I think they should be, when you have less than 50 connections, you should be connecting with your friends and peers that know you, and then after 50, start connecting with professionals you may not know. I think that my idea is that craft a message that's good enough to make people want to connect with you. Tell them the reason why you're connecting with them. And you can always get introduced too. If you know somebody, because any second level connection you can get introduced, and that can also be very powerful. But I'm going to give you a little tip. If you belong to any groups on LinkedIn, per month, you can actually connect with 15 people per month within your groups without having to connect with them the regular way. And after 15, LinkedIn will cut you off until the next month. So if you go into a group and there's somebody that you want to meet and you're in a common group, it's the best way to actually meet somebody, because you can actually write them without being limited.
That's 15 per group?
15
Total across all
15 per month across your groups, yeah.
And how many LinkedIn connections do you have?
3,500.
Now, you were talking about us challenging ourselves, and I was at a conference, a little bit like this recently, and someone said to me that you're really not growing or challenging yourself unless you're doing something that you have some doubts about. Because if you have some doubts, it means that you're pushing yourself, you're not sure if you can do it, and you're going past that line. So, in your career, when was it that you had some doubts and you pushed through and it made a difference?
Doubts about LinkedIn or doubts?
Just about moving forward.
Well, I think that, like, I'm a career specialist. I work at University of Toronto, and I've been doing that for a long time. But I think in 2010, I had to take a risk and say, okay, it's no longer good enough for any of us to just have a resume and cover letter. It doesn't work like that. So for these students that are up and coming, working in any industry, they have to have an online presence, because 94% of employers are searching online, and you're not even going to know that they're online, because there's a special program that they can buy that will allow them to look at any public profiles and you won't even know. So students have to feel confident. It's a professional story, so it would be the same thing as if you were networking live. So I think when I was a career coach and we were just focusing on resumes and cover letters, I was the one that, I was back in Montreal at the time, and I said, you know what, I'm going to make a proposal, and I'm going to propose that we go beyond that and take a risk, and we have to build a professional LinkedIn seminar series so students, the next generation, can actually be prepared, and they needed to. So you take a risk, because in career development it's always changing, and the same as how we network, it's always changing. We can't always stay with what we had, because we'll be left behind, and I don't like being left behind. So that's the end of that. Like, I'm not going to be left behind. I want to be out there. I'm a networker, and through networking, we have to realize that it's through networking that we get opportunities. I mean, you know, LinkedIn even provided me the opportunity for tonight. So just imagine. So I think that sometimes it's a little bit of a risk we take, but then at the end of the day, and we have to be able to prove it and weight it, but at the end of the day, the benefits start coming, and then all of your doubts kind of relax, because it's proven that it works.
Fabulous. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.